Hey Pilates friends, I'm Sharon Cannava of Living Breathing Pilates, back with the next classical Pilates move of the month. This month's tutorial is all about the small but mighty half roll down. This video will explain the purpose and goals of this exercise, as well as specific alignment and anatomy cues. I'll show you some common mistakes to look out for, and I'll offer some modifications, particularly if you feel like you're struggling with this one. And finally, I can show you some fun variations to do with or without props. So let's get on the same page. I'll show you a quick demo of the half roll down. You sit on your mat, feet firmly planted, hands holding lightly behind your thighs. You're going to scoop your belly in and create a long curve for your back. From there, you roll your upper body slowly down about halfway to the mat, and then you slowly roll to come back up. Again, you're scooping your belly in, keeping that core connection. You bring your lower back either almost or flush down onto your mat, and then with just as much control, you roll your upper body up. So this is a foundational exercise. It's most often found during a warm-up. The purpose is to strengthen the abdominals and to open up the lower back. The goal here is to really feel and initiate your movement coming from your powerhouse, which is your core. So not the upper body or the legs, but to really feel like the movement comes from your center. And you just keep practicing until you feel that that's happening. And the true goal here is to practice this fundamental Pilates action of articulating your lower back bones onto the mat and off of the mat, which is prep for more advanced exercises in the system like the roll-up and the rollover and teasers. So at first glance, this exercise seems fairly simple, but for sure the devil is in the details on this one. So let's dig in a little bit deeper. And let's talk about more specific alignment. Right off the bat, this is a beautiful place to really assess your symmetry. It's a pretty simple form. You can see it with your own eyes. You want to watch that those feet are lined up exactly with each other and that your knees are pointed straight up in a true parallel fashion and not rolling out towards the sides, but hugging in towards the midline, right? From there, you're going to engage your deepest transverse abdominis, which is your deepest abdominal muscle, the one that draws your abdominal wall in towards your spine. And you're going to start to move back. As you start to move, we're trying to recruit the very lowest fibers of your rectus abdominis, that sheath of muscle that runs straight down your abdomen in the front. Right? So at the bottom, the lowest fibers of this muscle connect onto your pubic bone. So as you move, you can think of your pubic bone curling towards your belly button, continually pulling back on that pubic bone to try to fire up and access those hard to engage lowest fibers of rectus abdominis. From there, lastly, from an anatomy perspective, let's talk about the movement that's happening at your pelvis. So your pelvis is generally considered a bowl, sometimes called the pelvic bowl, and it's a bowl that sits right at the base of your spine. The bowl can be upright and neutral. The bowl can be tipped to the front, right, as if a bowl of soup spilling soup out the front, or it can be tipping to the back, a bowl of soup spilling out towards the back. So in this exercise, you've got that backwards tipping happening of your pelvis, and that's called a posterior pelvic tilt. So from here, with that long curve of your spine, you start to get that posterior pelvic tilt, and you can feel it as a wheel rolling backwards until it brings you as low as you can hold, and then it starts rolling forward. So this image of your pelvis as a wheel can keep this exercise more dynamic and really keep it in your powerhouse, in your core strength. Okay, so from there, let's talk about common mistakes. What could possibly go wrong? The most common mistake is to over compress in your back. So as you go to roll down, instead of keeping that long curve of your spine, you're compressing downward, making yourself small. Right? It's sort of a fundamental misunderstanding of the Pilates C curve, which is a long curved position. It's more of a capital letter C than it is a lowercase c. Right? And you're keeping the space between all the vertebrae in your back while at the same time having a strong abdominal scoop, which keeps the back lightly curved. Right? Working on that balance. From there, the most common mistake is just going too far. Simple enough. It's miscalculating how difficult this is to do. Coming down, and as you get close to your lower back, you just lose it and fall to your shoulder blades, and then you usually have to do some sort of side-to-side movement to get up. We don't want any of that business. So, to modify and to keep yourself from doing that fall, you just make it smaller, right? So you can go 2 inches, curling back, feeling that posterior tilt, and then 2 inches rolling back up. Right? Over time, you can make it into a bigger movement, but at first, this is really all you need to get connected into that deep core. Right? Second modification I'll offer is to hook your feet under something, either a heavy bookcase, piece of furniture, or recruit one of your family and friends to hold your feet. This exercise is certainly more accessible when those feet are firmly anchored in place. Okay? And the last modification I will show you is one I really like. It's very helpful if you have a tight lower back or someone who has a more pronounced lower back curve, lumbar curve. So that lower back curve is naturally concave in towards the front of your body. So what we're asking it to do in this exercise is really reverse the curve and roll down into the mat, which is a big ask. So if that proves difficult, you can take something soft, like a rolled up towel or a ball, or in this case I have a rolled up yoga mat, and just place it behind you so that as you roll down, that prop catches your lower back, your lumbar curve. And now that I'm here with this nice soft support, I can really scoop and deepen the abdominal connection, right? I can feel the curve of my spine getting longer, and then I can slowly come off the prop, right? And it makes it so when I'm down there and working on all my connections, I'm not free floating in space so much, right? And I can really refine that exercise. Okay, great. So if all of that is going smoothly for you and you want to up the ante a little bit, 2 things. Number 1, you simply ditch the hands. So instead of holding lightly at the backs of your thighs, you're just going to let go. Right? And this way you're rolling down onto the mat and then slowly coming back up without the support of your hands. You can add in a prop. Let me grab a ball here. Right, a nice prop to use during this half roll down is just a ball between the knees, really emphasize the inner thigh connection. So from here you can roll down. You can just roll down and up with a little extra squeeze into that ball, or you can hold at the bottom and give about 5 distinct pulses of the ball, and then slowly work your way back up to the top. Without a prop, another way to add variation is just to add a little bit of movement to the bottom. So you slowly come down to what is your lowest, most supported version of this exercise. You hold your core stable, and then you can try maybe lifting one foot, lifting the other, right? You can take that again. Coming up in between sets. Good. Alternatively, you can move the arms as a challenge to your core stability down here. You establish that stable position, and then maybe arms up. You can do that up to 5 times. You could try arms out and slowly coming up from there. So you can take that, if you have a minute or so, you can take that about 5 to 10 times with or without variations. And if you're motivated to continue, you can take your final half roll down a little lower to your shoulder blades and go right into the 100 You can watch my previous video detailing the 100. So that's a nice 1-2 punch for abdominal strength you can practice at home. So if you enjoyed this video, please comment below. You can ask any questions that I may be able to answer for you. My teaching schedule can be found at livingbreathingpilates.com. And thank you for watching.